I want you and that young man to tie that knot. I'm gonna pray for you. And I want you to hold on to God's unchanging hand, because he helped Joshua fight the battle of Jericho. Yeah.
It's the old
Daniel get out the lion's den. He helped get off the island.
Let me get straight to the business. Yeah. Got them lions in the building. Yeah. Why you lying to the children? Yeah. Why you lying to the children? Yeah. RIGHTEOUS. Man, you know I've been to bed. Man, they know contest. Yahuwah, he do the bless. We will not see you tomorrow. Cause you cannot go to Thought. All the sons and all the daughters. Standing hard with big manodas. But my son, he made me Taurus. On that line, I'm still a Taurus. Karate kicking Chuck Norris, 4-5 on my waist. If he started, will not hesitate to get retarded. Oh Lordy, he ain't got a PowerPoint, he forest. He's running through the hills like a Philistine. Jihad hitting Hamites with the guillotine. Situation turned up with the ratchet team. JJ 7000 to debate me. I know them haters gon' hate me, but he won't debate me. Pistol off safety. He respond, come wake me. If I don't get up, nigga shake me. If he don't show up, then he fake G. I touch down and make these nigga nuts hate me. Dear brother. Ballin' and crawling all the way from H-Time. Let me get straight to the business. Man, them lions in the building. Why you lying to them children? Why you lying to them children? You gon' cry, you gon' get it. Me, I'm like a frog, nigga, ribbit. Of course, it's in the spirit. I just got the Porsche, she can steer it. Michael got the raw, Shaq and Willie. Lamborghini doors, you better not spill it. Mama's high, say I'm more than just a villain. Mama's cry, arms open wide for her children. Suicide, immortalized as the realest, yeah. Death by gun, black suicide. Let me get straight to the business. Got them lions in the building. Why you lying to them children? Yeah. Why you lying to them children? Yeah. RIGHTEOUS. Man, you know I've been there. Yeah. Man, they know contest. Yeah. Yahuwah, he do the bless. Wow, what's that? Why didn't take it over? Number one debate league, you heard me? When it's up, it's stuck. I'm stepping on everything, nigga. Metaphorically, of course.
Yeah, peace, the Mad Scientist. You know, y'all to check me out, the Mad Scientist on Facebook, TikTok, Bingo, Life Death Conflict TV on YouTube, and True Hot 30 on Instagram. I'm gonna let my sister tell y'all where you can find her at. Introduce yourself, Karima.
Okay. Shalom to the panel, me and him. Shalom to everybody out there. All right, JJ. And everybody watching, I'm going to put the link in there so you can jump on, I guess, after you present his information and presentation. But, yeah, you're more than welcome. Thanks for watching. I mute your mic. I had to mute you because I didn't want my.
I was saying that I'm reviewing all these books because people talk about them, but we don't go deep into it. So I'm bringing these books out for discussions. Like I said before, I believe in all. I believe that all these books, even things in the Bible, has been tampered with through oral tradition being passed down to writings and being translated. And I believe we have to have discussion on these things to make sure that we are speaking the truth. We have to go into the books they left out to make sure that they are not tricking us and telling us that these books don't belong. So I'm going into all these books, the books of Enoch, the Barnabas, the Adam and Eve. We're going to these books because either we can cancel the light or we can accept it. You know what I'm saying? Then we need to go back into the Apocrypha too, because we speak on the Apocrypha, but I haven't heard people speak on all the books in the Apocrypha. We only use certain ones that I hear people use. So this is my job, and it's the path I think God sent me to, is to wake our people up, man. You know what I'm saying? God was before the Bible, and we always got to realize that. And so this first video is gonna be my little brother. He's a minister. You know what I'm saying? He gonna have a little message for 11 minutes, and he gonna speak, and then I'm gonna go into the presentation.
Yeah, you sure that General?
Oh, my bad. We got Yashad, the general on the panel. Introduce yourself, Akin, and tell them where they can find you at.
Shalom, family, shalom. Got the General Yashar on deck. Find me at Chariots of Israel. We're just getting everything started, getting everything established. The foundation is solid. I'll definitely be sharing the link, when I get the green light, when everything is set, solid. But yeah, we're moving in the right direction. Y'all gonna see. I don't like to talk about a lot of things, but when things get in motion and you start seeing the lives, you're gonna see, then we can talk about some things, right? So until then, I'm here. See what the brother bringing out.
That's right.
Okay, peace. And I'm gonna tell everybody again, I do not worship any of these books that I'm putting out. I'm putting them out for us to have discussions over. You know what I'm saying? So I know, because I know people might come in the comment later and see me reading it and saying, oh, this is what he believes. So no, I'm putting the discussions out so we can have discussions of this, because people have, and I'm showing that a lot of people use these books. Again, when I said about Adam and Eve, a lot of people use these books and teaching these books, but not telling you this is where they're getting it from. So I'm just putting it out there so everybody can speak on it. So we'll go into my brother video real quick, and then we'll get started with the presentation. This is Eric, the mad scientist, True Knowledge. Here with my brother Prince DT Warcry. He's going to speak on this topic right here about agents amongst our people, because there's a lot going on, man. There's a lot going on with our people right now. So what you got to say about it?
So it is evident and clear, after speaking with big men to them, how this generation has become a bunch of gang-banging killers, and how they're literally calling themselves demons. It is evident and clear the reactions of the ministers. The reaction of the ministers were just, hey, we can't save the world. Hey, you can't change things. People things just won't get better. And I was trying to explain to them that if this is a battle about winning souls for the Lord, then we are losing the battle. But I want to also deal with the concept that from the 60s. So from the 60s, this is when the operation really began to enslave the people mentally. So they had their form of segregation. So they gave us the leaders. They claim that segregation is over. But what they now do is financially segregate the people. The governments of the world have a different culture than the righteous people of the world. The righteous people of the world did not believe in selling land, did not believe in charging people for houses. Yes, we did believe in professions, because we did need doctors, we did need dentists, we did need professional people, but not to the extent that we have allowed this government to push us to, where you now have to struggle to live, where you now have to work just to have a place to stay. That, my friend, is a form of slavery.
So now, after the 60s, what did they institute? In the early 80s, they instituted the credit union. Understanding that most people, after the riots, after Martin Luther King getting killed, after Malcolm X getting killed, did not have the knowledge which reigned supreme over nearly everything to become financially stable. So they moved and slid out the racial segregation and ushered in the financial segregation. If our people or any people of the world want to be free, we must understand that the governments of this world has instituted capitalism, and they have trained us generation after generation to love capitalism. But why do they use capitalism? They use capitalism so they can land grab, so that they can come to a people and say, we're going to make this land better. We're going to bring democracy to you. We're going to bring capitalism to you, and make the people think that they have a fair shot. And then what they do is they institute a credit system. They institute an employment system that only benefits them. And the native people of that land now become poverty, while this group of people starts to buy the land around them. While this group of people starts to take the resources and the income that they got from the native people, that they lied to now build an army against the people to oppress them. So now this influence is all over the world. Shame on the people who teach people that if you go to Africa, life is better. Shame on the people who teach people that if you go to South America, life will be better. Because we have to understand the governments that has instituted these systems to enslave the people, their influence now is all over the world. It's time for the people to meet somewhere. And I'm talking about the real people. I'm not talking about the agents, because it is evident and clear that they do exist among the real revolutionaries. It's time for us to sit down and figure out a different way to survive without capitalism. I know you want to get your money. I know you want to ball like the rappers on TV. But what you must understand is that capitalism has been the very thing that they have used against us to oppress us. You must understand that man did not invent trees. Man did not invent metal. Man did not invent these things, and we've allowed a group of people to take these things and capitalize off it and to use them against us.
And when you're talking about ages, what do you think is the purpose of them now?
What the purpose of the agent is this. What's going on in the church, I am a minister. What's going on in the church is that now it's not cool to talk about government. Now it's not cool to deal with politics. But go ask those people in Afghanistan right now, who are, a lot of them are devout Muslims, and they believe in God, and they have religion. Ask them, do government matter? Ask them, do you worry about the government? Yes, they do, because sometimes you get put in a position where the government wants to slaughter you, and that's the position those people are in. But we have allowed our preachers, we have allowed our priests, we have allowed our ministers to make us believe that God and politics is different. God said, I am in everything. Martin Luther King was a minister. Did he not deal with politics? Malcolm X was a minister. Did he not deal with politics? God said, I am everywhere. You cannot go anywhere and I am not there. I am even in the depths of hell. But your father, Satan, cannot be everywhere at once. So now we must go back to the drawing board and realize that a lot of these ministers have been placed in position to keep the people asleep, to sing you a song, to talk some old country coon talk, but they never talk nothing that really resurrect the people. Jesus said that the truth shall set you free. If the preachers are talking truth, then why aren't we free? If the government is talking truth, then why aren't we free? Somebody is deceiving the people. And it's time for the people to elevate their minds to a different level, because now we have the knowledge. Now we have the exposing of what they have done to our people from generation after generation. Stop seeing people speak and just turn your damn head like they ain't said nothing. Don't you understand you have become an ambassador to the world? Don't you know that no group of people have been oppressed as long as you have? When will we wake up? When will we stop seeing the old man preacher and see him for what he is? All skinfolk ain't kinfolk. Everybody who talk Jesus don't walk Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah, so we telling people we need to speak on capitalism, we need to speak on all these things too, and then we also need to speak on the problems that's going on in our community, because for them to get to that level, we have to wake our people up. Our people, like you said, have been calling themselves demons. You see what I'm saying? We still have abortion going on. We still have fatherless homes. We still have crack. We still have drugs flooding our communities. We're still killing each other. We're still having hatred for each other. So it's got to get to a point where we can get each other out of that. And that's why I told people it's the youth. We got to hit the youth before anybody. You know what I'm saying?
And
you trying to get on camera, Demar?
tell me, when God dealt with Egypt, was Egypt a government? When they threw Daniel in the lion's den, God had to show the government. God has even shaken jails in the Bible and let people go. But we've allowed these people to make you think just because you're a Christian man, just because you're a man of God, that you have to be weak. But God recalls me of Samson. They said that Samson was the vengeance of God's hand. It is time for our people to stop being thugs. It's time for our people to stop being gangbangers. It's time for our people to stop being drug dealers. And it's time for our people to become the vengeance of the hand of God. And I'm a preacher saying this.
And then what do you think is the agenda? You think they doing it just because they are getting paid and having all these cars and houses, so they're doing it to keep what they got?
Exactly. Because when Jesus fasted for 40 days and 40 nights, the Bible said that he was thirsty and that he hungered. And Satan took him up on a mountain and said, if you bow to me, I will give you all the kingdoms of the world. This same offer has been given to our so-called leaders. Notice how every time a civil rights thing happens, they bring out the same leaders. But notice how the condition of the people have not changed, because we have allowed these governments to capitalize the world. We have even allowed them to capitalize the government. How can you get justice from a government whose emphasis is wealth? How can you get justice from a people who is a corporation and trying to make money? And they have used our people through the media, through music, to become the very product that they make the money off of. How have we allowed ourselves to stay at the bottom and live in the ghetto and make songs and celebrate that as if we're accomplishing something, while foreigners from every nation have come over here and they benefit off of us and they live in a lavish life while we still down in the gutter? And you still going to the same church, you still voting in some slick-head Negro that want to be mayor, but don't nothing ever change? Who's going to call the disability and get the disability for the native people who disabled and they can't get it? Who will call the housing authority and ask them why is they giving foreigners apartments, but they've sat here and banned the native people from society with felonies and telling us that we don't even have a right to live anywhere? Who will be a voice of reason in America? This ain't no act, and I ain't no Mason, and I ain't with no Illuminati. I'm a voice in the wilderness, and I'm a warning to the people. You need to wake up, because Satan's ultimate goal, which is the government, is to take them to hell with you.
And before we go, tell the people where to watch you at.
Well, to watch me at, join the Native Temple of Truth, join my page. I try every week, put out a Voice of Reason video. Join my page, Voice of Reason. And we're going to be doing a YouTube video too. Yeah. And we want y'all to tune in, because this is not a game. You know, people follow that so-called conscious community, but yet nothing has changed. And they are not dealing with the real issues of the people.
Peace out.
When they are.
Yeah, that was my little brother, Prince Warcry. You know what I'm saying? You can join his on Native Temple of Truth. You know what I'm saying? That's what we teach. That was my historical thing. We teach the Native American here. You know what I'm saying? Peace to my family, the Pamunkey Tribe, Powhatan Nation. Um, so we're gonna get into this presentation, the Book of Barnabas. I know people heard about it. I don't think a lot of people read it. Kamisa spoke on it for a second to say it was our people book. And so I'm gonna put it out. I'm showing the people what it says. A lot of people might don't like it, you know what I'm saying, because a lot of it don't agree with the Bible say. But my purpose is not to make people like it. My purpose is not make people like me. My purpose is to show. My purpose is to question, and that's what I do. You know what I'm saying? And then we have discussions on it. So because that's the only way we gonna put something out, or we gonna ask, or we gonna accept something. That's the only way it can happen. You got to read it. I don't never. Anytime I ever spoke on Masons, anytime I ever spoke on Satanists, anytime I ever spoke on them, I studied them first, understand where they was coming from before I rejected it, and that's what I'm doing. So let's go. Book of Barnabas. All right. We gonna start with Mary speaking to Gabrielle. All right. Mary speaks to Gabrielle. In the last years, a virgin called Mary of the lineage of David of the tribe of Judah was visited by angel Gabriel from God. This virgin living in all holiness without any offense, being blameless and abiding in prayer with fasting. Being one day alone, there entered into her chamber the angel Gabriel, and he saluted her, saying, God be with thee, O Mary. The virgin was affrighted at the appearance of the angel, but the angel confronted her, saying, Fear not, Mary, for thou hast found favor with God, who have chosen thee to be mother and mother of a prophet, whom he will send to the people of Israel in order that they may walk in his laws with the truth of heart. The virgin answered, Now how shall I bring forth sons? See, I know not a man. The angel answered, O Mary, God who made man without a man is able to generate in the man without man, because with him nothing is impossible. Mary answered, I know that God is almighty, therefore his will be done. The angel answered, Now be conceived indeed a prophet, whom thou shalt name Jesus, and thou shalt keep him from wine and from strong drink and from every unclean meat, because the child is a holy one of God. And this is Gabriel coming to Mary, telling that she was gonna have a son, a prophet, and a holy one of God. And and she questioned it, and he corrected her and let her know that God can do anything because he made Adam and Eve without a man and a woman. And this is what he's saying to them. We go to the next slide. Okay. Mary feel being stoned, and Joseph tries to put her away. Now, I ain't saying no groups. I'm not gonna say what groups, but I feel like a lot of the things that they teach a certain group of Joseph and the certain things they mix it up and they got it from certain books, and because you can hear the teaching. But the warning of the angel Gabriel given to Joseph concerning the conception of Mary, a Virgin Mary. Mary having known the will of God, fearing the people, lest they should take offense at her being great with child, and should stone her as guilty of fornication, chose a companion of her own lineage, a man by the name called Joseph, a blameless life, for he, as a righteous man, feared God and served him with the fasting and prayers, living by the works of his hand, for he was a carpenter. Such a man, the virgin knowing, chose him for the companion and revealed him to the divine council. Joseph, being a righteous man, when he perceived that Mary was great with child, was minded to put her away, because he feared God. Behold, whilst he slept, he was rebuked by the angel of God, saying, O Joseph, why thou have minded to put away Mary thy wife? Know that forever whatsoever have been wrought in her have all been done by the will of God. The virgin shall bring forth a son, whom thou shalt call the name Jesus. So this is talking about how Joseph and Mary were scared that she was going to get stoned, and he tried to put her away, and the angel said no, because God, this is a gift from God, and don't you dare put her away like she was some type of fornicator. This is what this saying in the book of Barnabas. So I can interpret it for some of y'all. Gabriel explains to Joseph about Jesus being a holy one, and Joseph accepts because he is a holy one of God from his mother's womb. He is a prophet of God, sent unto the people of Israel, in order that he may convert Judah to his heart, and that Israel may walk in the law of the Lord, as it is written in the law of Moses. He shall come with great power, which God shall give him, and shall work great miracles, whereby many shall be saved. Joseph, arising from sleep, gave thanks to God and abode with Mary all his life, serving God with all sincerity. And this is him explaining that through God, the real true Savior, he's given the power, he's going to be given the power to Jesus. Jesus was going to create miracles to show that the true Savior God exists. You know what I'm saying? And this is what that explaining. Okay. Angels tell the shepherds of the Holy One. Angels announce to the shepherds the birth of Jesus, and they, after having found him, announce him. At the time of the shepherds were watching over the flock, it is their custom. And behold, they were surrounded by an exceeding bright light, out of which appeared to them an angel who blessed God. The shepherds were filled with fear by reason of sudden light and the appearance of the angel. Behold, I announce to you a great joy, for there is born in the city of David a child who is prophet of the Lord, who bringeth great salvation to the house of Israel. The child ye shall find in the manger with his mother, who blesseth God. And when he have said this, there came a great multitude of angels blessing God, announcing peace to them that have good will. When the angels were departed, the shepherds spake among themselves, saying, let us go even unto Bethlehem and see the word which God by his angels have announced to us. So they're going to the shepherds and telling everybody that the child is born, that the one that sent by God, the miracle, the Holy One is here. Okay, we can go to the next one. This is about Jesus' circumcision. The circumcision of Jesus. When the 8 days were fulfilled according to the law of the Lord, and it is written by the book of Moses, they took the child and carried him to the temple of circumcision to circumcise him. And so they circumcised the child and gave him the name Jesus, as the angel of the Lord had said before he was conceived in the womb. Mary and Joseph proceeded that the child must need most must needs be the salvation and ruin of many. Wherefore they feared God and kept the child with fear of God. And you're gonna see why they say salvation and ruin of many. Because there's a lot of things that the so-called leaders of the Jewish community at the time is not going to agree with what he's saying, and you know, but to the people who's really listening, the salvation. Okay, Herod frightened of the Christ. I mean, you know, everybody know about this story, but three magi are led by the star in the cast of Judah, and the finding Jesus make absence to him and gifts. In the reign of Herod, king of Judah, when Jesus was born, three magi parts of the east, three magi in the parts of the east were observing the stars of heaven, whereupon appeared them a star of great brightness. Wherefore, having concluded among themselves, they have came to Judah, guided by the star which went from before them, and having arrived of Jerusalem, they asked, where was born the King of Jews? And when Herod heard this, he was affrighted, and all the city was troubled. Herod therefore called together the priests and the scribes, saying, where should Christ be born? They answered that he would be born in Bethlehem, for thus is written by the prophet. And thou, Bethlehem, art not little among the princes of Judah. For out of thee shall come forth a leader who shall lead my people of Israel. Herod, accordingly called together the Magi and asked them concerning their coming, who answered that they had seen a star in the east, which has guided them thither. Wherefore thy wished with gifts to worship this new king manifest by his star. Then said Herod, go to Bethlehem and search out with all diligence concerning the child, and when ye have found him, come and tell it to me, because I also would fain come and worship him. And this be spake deceitfully. So this is Herod hearing about it and becoming, you could say, feared, because it's hearing about a king that's coming, and he's acting like he want to go see the people. And we know the story of what happened, and how he went to Egypt and all that. So I'm jumping into he turns 12, and people start understanding and knowing what he was here for. Jesus challenged the people about the laws at 12 years old. Jesus, having returned to Judah, holds a wondrous disputation with the doctors, having come to age of 12 years old. When Herod was dead, behold, the angel of the Lord appeared in a dream to Joseph, saying, returning to Judah, for thou art dead that willed the death of the child. Joseph therefore took the child with Mary, he having come to age of 7 years, came to Judah, whence, hearing the Archelaus, son of Herod, was reigning in Judah, he went into Galilee, friend to remain in Judah, and they went dwell in Nazareth. The child grew in the grace and wisdom before God and before men. Jesus, having come to the age of 12 years old, went up with Mary and Joseph to Jerusalem to worship there according to the law of the Lord, written in the book of Moses. When their prayers were ended, they departed, having lost Jesus, because they thought that he was returned home with their kinsfolk. Mary therefore returned with Joseph to Jerusalem, seeking Jesus among kinsfolk and neighbors. The third day they found the child in the temple in the midst of the doctors, disputing with them concerning the law. And everyone was amazed at his questions and answers, saying, how can there be such doctrine in him, seeing he is a small and have not learned to read? Mary reproved him, saying, son, what hast thou done to us? Behold, and I thy father have sought out thee for 3 days sorrowing. Jesus answered, know ye not that the servant of God ought to come before father and mother? Jesus then went down with the mother and to Joseph to Nazareth. It was subject to them with humility and reverence. So this is 12 years old Jesus going to the people, questioning them, and they are amazed because this 12-year-old boy who they said he can't even read, how is he coming with this type of doctrine and teaching? And go to the next one. Jesus would see the word of God on the Mount of Olives. Jesus, at the age of 30 years old, on Mount Olives, miraculously received the gospel from the angel Gabriel. Jesus, having to come to the age of 30 years, as he himself said unto me, went up to the Mount Olives with his mother and to gather olives. Then at midday, as he was praying, when he came to these words, Lord, with mercy, he was surrounded by an exceeding bright light and by an infinite multitude of angels who were saying, blessed be God. The angel Gabriel presented to him as it were a shining mirror, a book, which descended into the heart of Jesus, in which he had knowledge of what God have done and what God has said and what God willeth, insomuch that everything was laid bare and open to him. As he said unto me, believe Barnabas, that I know every prophet, every prophecy, insomuch that whatever I say, the whole have come forth from the book. Jesus had received this vision, and knowing that he was a prophet sent to the house of Israel, revealed all of Mary his mother, telling her that he needs must suffer great persecution for the honor of God, and that he could not any longer abide with her to serve her. Whereupon, having heard this, Mary answered, Son, ere thou was born, all was announced to me. Wherefore, blessed be the holy name of God. Jesus departed therefore that day from his mother and attended, I can't, there's something in the way, but attended to something office. So this is him receiving the word. They said the book came down like a mirror. It came inside of him to where he understood the prophets or prophetic office. And he understood what all the prophecies and the prophets said because he had the word. Okay, Jesus healed a leopard. I like to put this in here because in the other books they just say, okay, he just healed, he just did this. This lets you know how this I kind of believe brings up more reality to how he would think. You know what I mean? That I'm not saying it's true or false. I'm just saying for me listening to it. Jesus miraculously healed the leper and goeth into Jerusalem. Jesus descending from the mountain to come into Jerusalem met a leper who by divine inspiration knew Jesus to be a prophet. Therefore, with tears, he prayed to him, saying, Jesus, thou son of David, have mercy on me. Jesus answered, what wilt thou, brother, that I should do unto thee? The leper answered, Lord, give me health. Jesus reproved him, saying, thou art foolish, pray to God who created thee, and he will give thee health. For I am a man as thou art. The leper answered, I know that thou, Lord, art a man, but a holy one of the Lord. Wherefore pray thou to God, and he will give me health. Then Jesus citing said, Lord God Almighty, for the love of thy holy prophet, give help to this sick man. Then having said this, he said, touching the sick man with his hands in the name of God, O brother, receive thy health. And when he had said this, to the leprosy was cleansed, insomuch that the flesh of the leper was left unto him like that of a child. Seeing which, namely, that he was healed, the leper with a loud voice cried out, come hither, Israel, to receive the prophet whom God sendeth to thee. Jesus prayed to him, saying, brother, hold thee peace and say nothing. But the more he prayed him, the more he cried out, saying, behold the prophet, behold the Holy One of God. At which words many that were going out to Jerusalem ran back and entered Jesus into Jerusalem, recounting that which God through Jesus had done unto the leper. You see, this is him coming to the leper, and the leper asks him to heal him. He's saying, man, why don't you pray to God? And he's saying, you are a holy one of God, that God listens to you. And pray to God, and he's showing that the power of God through Jesus healed this person. Okay? Jesus was hated by the leaders, exposing them. Then by his servant Moses, he gave us his holy law, that Satan should not deceive us, and he exalted us above all other peoples. But brethren, what do we today that we be not punished for our sins? And then Jesus with great vehemence rebuked the people, for they had forgotten the word of God and gave themselves only to vanity. He rebuked the priests for their negligence in God's service and for their worldly greed. He rebuked the scribes because they preached vain doctrine and forsook the law of God. He rebuked the doctors because they made the law of God a non-effect through their traditions. And so much wise did Jesus speak to the people that all wept, from the least to the greatest, crying mercy and beseeching Jesus that he would pray for them, save only the priests and leaders, who on that day conceived hatred against Jesus for having thus spoken against the priests, scribes, and doctors. And they meditated upon his death. But for fear of the people who had received him as a prophet of God, they spoke no word. Jesus raised his hand to the Lord God and prayed, and the people weeping said, "So be it, O Lord, so be it." The prayer being ended, Jesus ascended from the temple, and that day he departed from Jerusalem with many that followed him, and the priests spoke evil of Jesus among themselves. So now he's starting to teach and preach against these people, and the people that's listening to him, they see the people are gathering and listening to him and starting to understand what we call exposing, like we would call exposing the government now, exposing the churches now. This is what he's doing. So now they are wishing his death upon him, and he knows this. So this is the next thing he do is go and pray to God, because he know the people are trying to kill him. Jesus prayed, y'all knowing that many wanted to kill him. The remarkable fear of Jesus and his prayer and the wonderful comfort of the angel Gabriel. Some days having passed, Jesus, having a spirit perceived the desire of the prophets, ascended the Mount of Olives to pray. And having passed the whole night in prayer, in the morning Jesus prayed, saying, "O Lord, I know the scribes hate me, and the priests are minded to kill me. Thy servant, therefore, Lord God Almighty, and the merciful and mercy, bear the prayer of the servant, and save me from their snares. And there are many salvation, thou knowest, Lord, that I, thy servant, seek thee alone, O Lord, and spake thy word, for thy word is truth, which endures forever." When Jesus had spoken these words, behold, there came to him an angel Gabriel, saying, "Fear not, O Jesus, for 1,000 who dwell above the heaven guard thy garments. And thou shalt not die till everything be fulfilled, and the world shall be near its end." Jesus fell to his face on the ground, saying, "O great Lord God, how great is the mercy upon me, and what shall I give thee, Lord, for all that thou hast granted me?" The angel Gabriel answered, "Arise, Jesus, and remember Abraham, who being willing to make sacrifice to God of his only begotten son Ishmael." That's one thing that we're gonna speak on. That this is why I'm gonna say it's a big dispute against the Christian and the Islamic community. But to fulfill the word of God, and the knife of being able to cut his son, at my word offered the sacrifice of sheep, even so therefore shalt thou do, O Jesus, servant of God. Jesus answered, "Willingly, but where shall I find the lamb, seeing I have no money, and it is not lawful to steal it?" Thereupon the angel Gabriel showed upon him a sheep, which Jesus offered the sacrifice, praising and blessing God, who is glorious forever. Okay, we can go to the next one. Jesus accepted by the people and chose his disciples. So this getting to a point where he picked his disciples and stuff. All right, let's go to this. After the fast 40 days, Jesus chose 12 apostles. Jesus descended from the mount and passed along by night to farther side of Jordan, and fast 40 days and 40 nights, not eating anything, day nor night, making continual supplication to the Lord for the salvation of his people, to whom God has sent him. And when the 40 days were past, he was hungered. Then appeared Satan unto him and tempted him in many words. But Jesus drove him away by the power of the words of God. Satan having departed, the angels came to minister to Jesus, that whereof he had need. Jesus, having returned to the region of Jerusalem, was found again of the people with exceeding great joy, and they prayed him that he would abide with them. For his words were not as those of the scribes, but were with power, for they touched the heart. Jesus, seeing that great was the multitude of them, and returned their heart for the walk in the law of God, went up into the mountain and abode all night in prayer. And when day come, he ascended from the mountain, and chose 12, whom he called apostles. Among is Judas, who was slain upon the cross. That's another thing we got to talk about. Their names are Andrew and Peter, his brother, fisherman, Barnabas, who wrote this, with Matthew the publication, y'all know that shit, who sat at the receipt of customs, John and James, sons of Zebedee, and Judas, Bartholomew, and Philip, James, Judas, the traitor. To these he always revealed the divine secrets, but Judas he made his dispenser of that which was given in alms, but bestowed a tenth part of everything. So again, just like in the Bible, he already knew that Judas was a traitor. You know what I mean? He already knew what was going to happen. Jesus explained Yah to Philip. In the chapter, it's clearly perceived the unbelief of Christians and the true faith of Mum and when Jesus had said this, Philip answers, "We are content to serve God, but we desire, however, to know God. For Isaiah the prophet said, Verily thou art a hidden God. And God said unto Moses his servant, I am which I am." Jesus answered, "Philip, God is good, without which there is not good. God is being, without which there is not that is. God is a life, without which there is not that liveth. So great that he filleth all and is everywhere. He alone have no equal. He have had no beginning, nor will ever have an end. But to everything have given a beginning, and to everything shall he given a end. He have no father, no mother. He have no sons, no brethren, no companions. And because God have no body, therefore he eateth not, sleepeth not, dieth not, walketh not, moveth not, but abideth eternally without human similitude. For that he is incorporeal, uncompounded, immaterial, of most simple substance. He is so good that he loveth goodness only. He is so just that when he punish and pardoneth, it cannot be gainsaid. In short, I say unto thee, Philip, that here on earth thou cannot see him or know him perfectly, but in his kingdom thou shalt see him forever, wherein consisteth of all happiness and glory. So this is him explaining to Philip that he is not a human. He is not a subject to human things. Can't be explained. And that's why I tell people I don't debate on who is God, because God cannot be explained. Nobody has seen God. Nobody can explain God. Only thing they can go by is what other people have said in the histories of time or what they think. But God is more than we ever going to understand. Okay? Jesus explains parables, y'all having no son, and false gods. Philip answered, Master, what sayest thou? It is surely written in Isaiah, the God is our Father. How then have he no sons? Jesus answered, There are written in the prophets many parables, whereof thou art not to attend to the latter, but to the sense. For all the prophets that are 144,000, whom God hath sent into the world, have spoken darkly. But after me shall come the splendor of all prophets and holy ones, and shall shed light upon the darkness of all that prophets shall say, because he is the messenger of God. And having said this, Jesus sighed and said, Have mercy on Israel, O Lord God, and look with pity upon Abraham, upon his seed, in order that they may serve thee with truth and heart. His disciple answered, So be it, O Lord God. Jesus said, Verily I say unto you, the scribes and doctors have made void the law of God with their false prophecies, contrary to the prophecies of the true prophets of God. Wherefore God is wroth with the house of Israel and with the fatherless generation, faithless generation. His disciples wept at these words. Now he's going to start getting into telling as many prophets, and we had to be careful who we listen to. because he's saying there's thousands of prophets that was speaking darkly. Okay, and I'm gonna show another problem they have when they talk about this messenger. This is another problem that Christians and Muslims have a problem with. This is why I'm bringing this out so we can have a discussion on these things. You know what I'm saying? Jesus calls Canaanite women a dog, but heals the daughter. And lo, a woman of Canaan with her two sons, who had come forth in her own country to find Jesus, having therefore seen him come with his disciples, she cried out, Jesus, son of David, have mercy on my daughter who is tormented of the devil. Jesus did not answer even a single word because they were of the uncircumcised people. The disciples were moved to pity and said, "Oh, Master, have pity on them. Behold, how much they cry out of the weep and weep." Jesus answered, "I am not sent but unto the people of Israel." Then the woman with her sons went before Jesus weeping, saying, "O son of David, have mercy on me." Jesus answered, "It is not good to take the bread from the children's hands and give it to the dogs." And this said Jesus by reason of their uncleanness, because they were uncircumcised people. The woman answered, "O Lord, the dogs eat the crumbs that fall from the master's table." Then was Jesus seized with admiration of the words of the woman and said, "O woman, great is thy faith." And having raised his hand to heaven, he prayed to God and then said, "O woman, thy daughter is freed. Go thy way in peace." The woman departed and returning to her home found her daughter who was blessing God. Wherefore the woman said, "Verily there is none other God than the God of Israel." Whereupon all her kinfolk joined themselves into the law of God according to the law written by the book of Moses. So this is how this is how uncircumcised people were looked at. And then he will explain more to them about the uncircumcised. Jesus explains why uncircumcised people are dogs. Miserable condition of the uncircumcised and the dog is better than thee. The disciples questioned Jesus on the day, saying, "O Master, why dost thou make such answer?" The woman saying that thou were dogs. Jesus answered, "Verily I say unto you that a dog is better than an uncircumcised man." Then were disciples sorrowful, saying, "Hard are the words, and who shall be able to receive them?" Then said the disciples, "Tell us, O Master, for what reason man must need to be circumcised?" Jesus answered, "Let it suffice you that God have commanded it to Abraham, saying, Abraham, circumcise thy foreskin and that all thy house, for this is a covenant between me and thee forever." So the uncircumcised, so we know the circumcised is a covenant that he had with our people. And that's why you're supposed to have them. The people who didn't have it was not amongst our people, or not considered our people, and considered lords and dogs. Okay? And there's harsh words coming from them. Circumcision started with Adam. Okay? This is him explaining what Adam, and I guess you would kind of say this is kind of like a circumcision. Origin of circumcision and covenant of God with Abraham and damnation of uncircumcised. And having said this, Jesus said, "Now unto the mountain which they looked upon," and his disciples came to his side to listen to his words. Then said Jesus, "Adam, the first man, having eaten by fraud of David, the food of forbidden of God in paradise, the flesh rebelled against the spirit, whereupon he swore, saying, By God, I will cut thee. And having broken a piece of rock, he seized the flesh and cut with the sharp edge of the stone, whereupon he was rebuked by the angel Gabriel, and he answered, I have sworn by God to cut it. I will never be a liar. Then the angel showed him the yeah, we see it today. Yeah, you're right. Then the angel showed him in I don't even know the superfluity of his flesh, that they're cut off, and hence just every man take of flesh for the flesh of Adam. So is he bound to observe in his sons, and from generation to generation came down obligation of circumcision. But in the time of Abraham, there were but few circumcised upon the earth because the idolatry was multiplied upon the earth. Whereupon God told Adam the fact concerning circumcision and made this covenant, saying, the soul that shall not have his flesh circumcised, I will scatter from among my people forever. The disciples trembled with the fear of these words Jesus, for with remnants of spirit he spake. Then said Jesus, leave fear to him that have not circumcised his foreskin, for he is deprived of paradise. And having said this, Jesus spake again, saying, the spirit in many is ready in the service of God, but the flesh is weak. The man, therefore, that fear of God ought to consider what the flesh is, and where it had its origin, and whereof and whereto it shall be reduced. Of the clay of the earth created God flesh, into it to breathe the breath of life, with the inbreathing therein, and therefore, when the flesh shall hinder the service of God, it ought to be spurned like clay and trampled on. Some powerful words right there. It's telling you this covenant has been going on from the beginning of time to Adam, and he really made a covenant with Abraham because of the idolatry that was going on. Jesus explained why he said many would hate their mother and father. Peter answered, O Master, how ought one love God with true love? Tell thou us. Jesus replied, verily I say to you, that he who shall not hate his father and mother and his own life and his children and wife for love of God, that such an one is not worthy to be loved of God. Peter answered, O Master, it is written in the law of God in the book of Moses, honor thy father, that thou mayest live long upon the earth. And further he said, cursed be the son of the obeyeth not his father and his mother. Wherefore God commanded that such a disobedient son shall be by the wrath of the people stoned before the gate of the city. And now how bad is thou us to hate father and mother? Jesus replied, every word of mine is true, because it's not mine but God's, who have sent me to the house of Israel. Therefore I say unto you that all that which ye possess, God hath bestowed it upon you. And so whether is the more precious the gift of the giver, whether is the more precious the gift or the giver. When thy father and thy mother with every other thing is stumbling block to thee and to serve God, abundant them as enemies. Did not God say to Abraham, go forth from the house of the father and of thy kindred and come to dwell in the land which I give thee and thy seed? And wherefore did God say this? Save, because the father Abraham was an image maker who made the worship false gods, whence there was enmity between them, insomuch that the father wished to burn his son. So he's saying, don't just automatically just hate your mother and father. What he's saying is, if your father and mother become a blockage of you worshiping God, then you have to look at them as an enemy. Just as Abraham did his father, who was an image maker. Okay. Jesus explains to man of law how what comes out of you is worse than what goes in the idols of flesh. Verily I say unto you, that eat bread with unclean hands defileth a man, or not a man, because that which enter into the man defileth not the man, but that which comes out of the man defileth the man. Thereof said one of the scribes, if I shall eat pork or other unclean meats, will they not defile my conscience? Jesus answered, disobedience will not enter into the man, but will come out of the man from his heart, and therefore will be defiled when he shall eat forbidden food. Then said one of the doctors, Master, thou hast spoken much against idolatry, as though the people of Israel had idols, and so thou hast done us wrong. Jesus answered, I know well that in Israel today there are not statues of wood, but there are statues of flesh. They answered all the scribes and the rab, and so we are idols, adulterers, uh, idlers. Jesus answered, Verily I say unto you, the precept says not that thou shalt worship, but thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all their soul, with all their heart, and with all their mind. Is this true? Said Jesus. It is true, answered everyone. So he's saying what comes out of your mouth. You know what I'm saying? We know what you put in, and if you understand science, you know what you put in can damage a lot of things with your brain, your blood pressure. It could change you, man. A lot of that stuff could change you. What you put into where you start speaking is not of God anymore. Y'all don't understand that because you gotta start researching that part. And food is a lot of damage to our people, man, and mentally, not just physically. Okay. Then both of them knew that they were naked, wherefore being ashamed. This is all to punish Adam and Eve. They took fig leaves and made a clothing for their secret parts. When midday was past, behold, God appeared to them and called Adam, saying, Adam, where is thou? He answered, Lord, I hid myself from the presence because of my wife are naked. Me and my wife are naked. And so we are ashamed to present ourselves before thee. Then God said, and who have robbed you of your innocence, unless you have eaten of the fruit by reason of which ye are unclean and will not be able to abide longer in paradise. And see, this is what I'm talking about with the serpent. The serpent didn't tell him the truth. The serpent wasn't trying to wake him up. The serpent took the innocence. The serpent told him how to sin. The serpent told him how to disobey God. The serpent is the one that brought death upon them early. Okay. Adam answered, O Lord, the wife whom has given me besought me to eat, and I have eaten thereof. Then God said to the woman, Therefore givest thee food to thy husband. Eve answered, Satan deceived me, and so I did eat. And how did the reprobate enter in hither? Said God. Eve answered, A serpent that standeth at the northern gate brought me near to me. Then said God to Adam, Because thou hast hearkened to the voice of the wife, and hast eaten of the fruit, cursed be the earth in thy works, and shall bring forth those brambles and thorns, and in the sweat of the face, and thou eat bread, and remember thou art earth, and earth shall there return. And he spoke to Eve, saying, And thou who didst hearken to Satan, and gavest the food to thy husband, shall abide under the domain of man, who shall keep thee as a slave, and that shall bear children with travel. So this is Jesus explaining to the disciples. This is Jesus talking, explaining to the disciples of what happened with Adam and Eve and the serpent. And this kinds of part of it is kind of agreeing with Adam and Eve's story when it's talking about the serpent and the Satan was actually two different beings. And Adam and Eve was saying that the Satan went inside of the serpent. So it's kind of saying the same thing. Because when you go to the punishment of them, you'll see it. Let's go to the next one. All right, God punishment to the serpent and Satan speaking on Muhammad the messenger. Okay, like I said, then this is the part where we get into where this divided a lot of people. Okay, and having called the serpent God, called the angel Michael, whom have hold of the sword of God, and said, First drive forth from paradise this wicked serpent, and went outside, cut off his legs, for if he shall wish to walk, he must trail his body upon the earth. Afterwards, God called Satan, who came laughing. He said to him, Because thou reprobate has deceived these and have made them to become unclean, I will that every unclean of them and all of their children, whereof there shall be truly penitent and shall serve me, and going forth from the body shall enter through the mouth, and shall thou be saturated with uncleanness. Satan then answered a horrible roar and said, since thou wouldest to make me ever worse, I yet will make thee that which I shall be able. Then said God, depart, cursed one, from my presence. Then Satan departed, whereupon God said to Adam and Eve, who were both weeping, go ye forth to the paradise and do penance, and let not your hope fail, for I will send your son to such wise that your seed shall lift the dominion of Satan from the human race. For he shall come, my messenger, to him will I give all things. God hid himself, and angel Michael drove forth from paradise, whereupon Adam, turning him around, saw written above the gate, there is only one God, and Muhammad is his messenger God. Whereupon weeping he said, may it be pleasing to God, o my son, that thou come quickly and draw us out of misery. And thus said Jesus sent Satan and Adam through pride, and the one despising him, the other by wishing to make himself equal with God. We go to the next one. Okay. And this is right here in this book. It says, Jesus says he is not the Messiah nor Elijah, but the voice of Yah. Because in this book it's saying that, people started worshiping him and started saying he was this and he was that, and he explained what he was. And this is this book. I'm just going by what this book is saying. Then the disciples wept after the course of Jesus was weeping. When they saw many who came and found him, for the chiefs of the priests took counsel among themselves to catch him in his talk. Wherefore they sent the Levites, some of the scribes, question him, saying, Who art thou? Jesus confessed and said the truth, I am not the Messiah. They said, and thou Elijah or Jeremiah and any of the ancient prophets? Jesus said, no. Then said thou, who art thou? Say, in order that we may give testimony to those who sent us. Then Jesus said, I am a voice that crieth through the art of Judah and crieth, prepare thee the way for the message of the Lord, even as it is written in Ezra's. They said, if thou be not the Messiah, nor Elijah, or any prophet, wherefore thou preach new doctrine, and make thyself more account than Messiah? Jesus answered, the miracles which God worketh by my hands, show that I speak that which God willeth. Not, nor indeed do I make myself to be accounted as him or whom ye speak. For I am not worthy to unloose the ties of the hosen of the latches of the shoes of the messenger of God, whom ye call Messiah, who was made before me and shall come after me and shall bring the words of the truth, so that the faith shall have no end. The Levites and the scribes departed in confusion and recounted of the chiefs of the priests, who said, he hath the devil on his back, who recounted all to him. So I'm just giving a showing of these are the certain things that uh, made a division between Christians, Islamics. Because if you talk to Islamic, most of them they follow the Gospel, the New Testament, and the Old Testament, and some of them take this book too. So, and most Christians, some do, but most don't accept this book because they accept it as an Islamic book. Okay, and that's the thing, you know what I'm saying? But it's not considered a Islamic book, meaning Elijah didn't make this. So Jesus said the Messiah is not a son of David. Okay. James answered, O Master, tell us whom the promise was made. For the Jews say in Isaac, and the Ishmaelites say it's Ishmael. Jesus answered, David whose son he had, whose son was he, and of what lineage? James answered, O Isaac, for Isaac was the father of Jacob, Jacob was the father of Judah, and whose lineage is David. Then said Jesus, the messenger of God, when he shall come, of what lineage will he be? The disciples answered, O David. Whereupon Jesus said, Ye deceive yourselves, for David in spirit calleth him Lord, saying, Thus God said to my Lord, Sit thou on my right hand until I make thee enemies thy footstool. Shall send forth the rod which shall be lordship in the midst of thy enemies. If the messenger of God, whom ye call Messiah, was son of David, how should David call him Lord? Believe me, for verily I say to you that the promise was made in Ishmael, not Isaac. And this is another topic that got that to this day, even without this book, this is the things that people that the Islamic and Christian community is actually arguing over to this day. They say Ishmael, they say Isaac. One say he's prophet, one say he's not. These are the things that actually they're arguing over today. Okay. Jesus said Ishmael was the promise made. Thereupon said the disciples, O Master, it is written by the books of Moses that in Isaac was the promise made. Jesus answered, Well, for grown, it is written, but Moses wrote it not, nor Joshua, but rather our rabbis who fear not God. Verily I say unto you, that if ye consider the words of the angel Gabriel, ye shall discover the malice of our scribes and the doctors. For the angel said, Abraham, all the world shall know how God loveth thee. But how shall the world know the love that thou bearest to God? Assuredly, assuredly, it is necessary that thou do something for love of God. Abraham answered, Behold, the servant of God, ready to do all that which God shall will. Then spake God, saying to Abraham, Take thy son, the firstborn Ishmael, and come unto the mountain and sacrifice him. How is Isaac firstborn if when Isaac was born, Ishmael was 7 years old? Okay. Then said the disciples, Clear is. I don't know what that means, but so this is, like I said, this is one of the discussions that they having, that Christians and Israel. I don't know if Israelites and Islam really argue over this, but it was mainly like Christians and Ishmaels. I mean, Israelites do too. You know what I'm saying? But this is one of the topics they argue over. So they argue over that and other things that, and like I said, what is Jesus, the son or the prophet? These are things that's been talked about for a long time. There's nothing new. Even before we was even the slave trade, anything happened, this was always discussions. Jesus speaks on the judgment day of Yah. How is he scared because people making him equal to Yah? Okay. The judgment day of God will be the dreadful that verily I say unto you, the reprobates would sooner choose 10 hells than go to hear God speak in wrath against them, against whom all things created will witness. Rarely I say unto you that not alone shall the reprobates fear, but the saints and the elite of God. So that Abraham shall not trust in his righteousness, and Job shall not know confidence in his innocence. And what say I? Even the messenger of God shall it fear, for that God to make known his message shall deprive his messenger of memory, so that he shall have no remembrance how that God hath given him all things. Verily I say unto you that speaking from the heart, I tremble because the world I shall be called God, and for this I shall have to render account. As God liveth, and those present my soul standeth. I am a mortal man as other men are. For although God has placed me as a prophet over the house of Israel for the health of the feeble and the correction of sinners, I am the servant of God. And of this ye are a witness, how I speak against those wicked men who after my departure from the world shall annul the truth of my gospel by operations of Satan. But I shall return towards the end. If with me shall come Enoch and Elijah, and we will testify against the wicked, whose end shall be accursed. And having thus spoken, Jesus shed tears. We, his disciples, wept aloud and lifted their voices, saying, Pardon, O Lord God, and have mercy on thy innocent servant. Jesus answered, Amen, amen. So he is saying that what men do all the time, we turn these people that God sent into gods their self. And we have seen it time after time after time after time. How much cults we have, how much people came in groups saying they are this and saying that, and then when these people die, all of a sudden they become a God image. No human is a God. God is everything. God is above human. God cannot die. Okay, God does all, save and destroy. Jesus explained the judgment day in fear. The 14th day, and this is Jesus explaining the, I just got to the end, but the whole thing before this, he's explaining the days of what's going to happen each day. And he's reaping, but he's saying these people are waiting for the judgment day, but you don't know what the judgment day is. You think the judgment day is going to be some type of holy thing. It's going to be destruction. It's going to be horrible things going on. This is what Jesus is trying to tell people, okay? The 14th day, this is him talking at the end. The 14th day there shall be an earthquake so terrible, so horrible, that the tops of the mountains shall fly through the air like birds, and all the earth shall become a plain. The 15th day the holy angel shall die, and God alone shall remain alive, to whom be honor and glory. And having said this, Jesus smote his face with both his hands, and then smote the ground with his head. And having raised his head, he said, Curse everyone who shall insert into my sayings that I am the Son of God. At these words, the disciple fell down as dead. Whereupon Jesus lifted them up, saying, Let us fear God now, if we would not be affrighted in that day. So he's telling you that he is not saying this. He's telling you that he is being accused of this. Because you got to understand the people who interpreted and translated this shit, they're Greeks. They believe in God having children with men and making God's sons. And these people are gods. You cannot be the son of God and not be a God. You cannot. And so when he's saying we're God, that is a parable. That's metaphorically. We are not gods because we're going to die like humans. All of us are going to die. Nobody's going to live forever. Okay? Jesus in the measure speaks on the claims that he is the Son of God. And God shall speak unto his messenger, saying, Thou art welcome, O my faithful servant. I'm gonna read some of the comments when I finish this. So if y'all got something to say, y'all can say it in the comments. I'm gonna read it. Y'all come on too, it don't matter. But and God shall speak unto the messenger, saying, Thou art welcome, O faithful servant, therefore ask what thou wilt, for thou shalt attain all. The messenger of God shall answer, O Lord, I remember when thou didst created me. Thou sayest, thou hast willeth to make for love of me the world of paradise, and angels and men. They might glorify thee by me, thy servant. Therefore, Lord, merciful and just, I pray thee, and recollected thy promise made unto thy servant. And God shall make an answer, even as a friend of Joseph with a friend, and shall say, Has thou witness of this, my friend Muhammad? Who with reference he shall say, Yes, Lord, the God shall answer, Go call them, O Gabriel, the angel. Gabriel shall come to the messenger of God and shall say, Lord, who are the witness? The messenger of God shall answer, They are Adam, Abraham, Ishmael, Moses, David, Jesus, son of Mary. Then shall the angel depart and shall call aforesaid witness, who of fear shall go thither, and when they are present, God shall say unto them, Remember ye that which my messenger affirmeth. That shall reply, And the thing, O Lord, God shall say, that I have made all things for love of him. so that all things must praise me by him. Then every one of them shall answer, there are with us, there are three witnesses better than we are, O Lord. And God shall reply, who are these witnesses? Then Moses shall say, the book of thou gavest to me is the first. And David shall say, the book that thou gavest to me the second. And be who is speaking, you shall say, Lord, the whole world deceiveth Satan, and that was the Son, and they fellow. But the book that thou gavest me said truly that I am the servant, and the book, the confessor that which thy messenger affirmeth. Then shall the messenger of God speak and shall say, that said the book thou gavest me, O Lord. And when the messenger of God have said this, God shall speak, saying, all that I have now done, I have done in order that everyone should know how much I love thee. And when he I can't see that. It was kind of small. Faith. I guess I mean faith. That's spoken. God shall give unto the messenger a book in which are written all the names of the Lord, all the names of the elite of God. Wherefore every creature shall be referent to God, saying, "To Thee alone, O God, be glory and honor, because Thee has given us to the messenger." Okay, you can go to the next one. Now, this is God and the witnesses and Jesus, Moses, all of them supposed to be at the end of the judgment. This is what they're saying. Okay. Then after that, they supposed to have judgment on Satan. God shall open the book in the hand of the messenger, and his messenger reading therein shall call all the angels and prophets and all the elite, and on the forehead of each one shall be written the mark of the messenger of God, and in the book shall be written the glory of paradise. Then shall each pass the right hand of God, next to whom shall sit the messenger of God, and the prophet shall sit near him, and the saints and the angels shall then sound the trumpet and shall call Satan to judgment. Okay, so they about to call Satan to judgment now. And this is the judgment of them. Then that miserable one shall come in great I can't can you make it a little bit bigger? Okay. Contumely shall he accused of every creature, wherefore God shall call or you could do a little bit smaller, because I can't see the outskirts. A little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. All right. Angel Michael, who shall strike him 100,000 times with the sword of God. He shall strike Satan, and every stroke is heavy as 10 hails, and he shall be the first to be cast into the abyss. The angel shall call his followers, and they shall in like manner be abused and accused. Wherefore the angel Michael, by commission from God, shall strike some of 100 times, some 50, some 20, some 10, some 5, and some shall they descend into the abyss, because God shall say to them, hell is your dwelling place, O cursed ones. After that shall be called the judgment of all the unbelievers and reprobates, against whom shall first arise all creatures inferior to man, testify before God how they have served these men, and how the same how outraged God his creatures. And the prophets, every one shall arise testifying against them. Wherefore they shall be condemned by God to infernal flames. Verily I say to you, that no idle word or through shall pass unpunished in that day, tremendous day. Verily I say unto you, that the hair shirt shall shine like the sun, and every house of man shall be born for the love of God, shall be turned into a pearl. O thence and 4 times blessed are the poor, who in the true poverty shall have served God from the heart. For in the world are there destituted and worldly cares, and shall therefore be free from many sins, and in that day they shall not have to render an account on how they have spent the riches of the world, but they shall be rewarded for their patience and their poverty. Verily I say unto you, if the world knew that it would choose the hell shirt sooner than the purple, light sooner and gold feet fast sooner than feast. When all have examined, God shall say unto the messenger, oh, behold, oh, my friend, that wickedness how great it has been. For I, their creator, did employ all created things in the service, and all things have they dishonored me. It is most just, therefore, that I have no mercy for them. So it's saying at the end times that the unbelievers are going to be judged after Satan. That's how bad y'all go. That's how bad it is for y'all in this book. that the unbelievers are going to be the last ones behind Satan. The wow, you know what I'm saying? He said he's not going to have no mercy on you, none whatsoever. I don't. Yeah. Mike, Michael, calm down. Mike, calm down. Y'all will have no mercy when judging. While Jesus was speaking, the disciples wept bitterly, and Jesus wept many tears. This is Jesus telling them about the judgment time. This is not a career cleanse that happened or nothing like that. He's telling them this is what is going to happen because God has given him the word and the vision and the prophecies. Okay. So while Jesus was speaking, the disciples wept bitterly, and Jesus wept many tears. Then after he wept, John spake, O Master, two things we desire to know. The one is, how is it possible that the messenger of God, who is full of mercy and pity, should have no pity on the reprobates that day, seeing that they are the same clay as himself? The other is, how is it to be understood that the sword of Michael is heavy as 10 hails? Then is there more than one hail? Jesus replied, have ye not heard what David the prophet saith, how that the just shall laugh at the destruction of sinners, and shall deride him with these words, saying, I say the man who put his hope in his strength and his riches and forget God. Really, therefore, I say unto you that Abraham shall deride his father, and Adam all reprobate men, and this shall be because the elite shall arise again so perfect and united to God that they shall not conceive in their minds the smallest thought against his justice. Therefore shall each of them demand justice, and above all the messenger of God, as God liveth, in whose presence I stand, there now I weep for pity of mankind on that day. I shall demand justice without mercy against those who despise my words, and most against those who defile my gospels. So they're saying the things that these people went through. What if you was David? What if you was Job or whatever, and you went through these things, and God's put you through these things to get you to the level to be his son again, to be a son of God, to be a chosen elite one. And then these people that always mock God their whole life, and said God don't exist, and say God is this and God is blasphemy against God. Why should they have mercy on you? If I'm at a job and I work my butt off and I got to this certain level, why should, because you can't pay your rent because you ain't making a lot of money, but you ain't work as hard as me, and you playing around, you ain't doing this, why should I say, okay, man, put them at the level of me? No, you deserve what you get. You deserve what you ask for. So you better stop turning your back on God, because he's not going to have mercy on you. You're not going to be able to tell him, oh, God, I just did this because I didn't know. Oh, God, because this man said this. He's not going to have no mercy on you. Okay, this is what this book's saying. Let me see that. All right. Hell is one, and contrary to paradise, as weather is contrary to summer, a cold to heat. He therefore who would describe the misery of hell must needs have seen the paradise God's delight. O place accursed by God's justice for the malediction of faithless and retribute, of which said Job, the friend of God, there is no order there, but everlasting fear. And Isaiah the prophet against a reprobate saith, their flame shall not be quenched, nor their worm die. And David our father weeping said, then shall rain upon them lightning and bolts and brimstone and great tempest. O misery sinners, how loathsome then shall seem to them delicate meats, costly raiment, soft couches and concord and sweet song. How sick shall make them raging hunger, burning flames, scorching cinders, and cruel torments with bitter weeping. And then Jesus uttered a lamentable groan, saying, truly, it is better never to have been formed than to suffer such cruel torments. So he said, man, it's better not even be born, not even to exist to go where you're going. Better listen. For imagine a man suffering torments in every part of his body, who have no one to show him compassion, but is mocked at all. Tell him, but is mocked of all. Tell me, would not this be great pain? The disciple answered, the greatness. So they saying the more you suffering, the more they're gonna mock you. The same way you mock God, the same way you mocked his prophets, the same way you mocked his words. While you screaming and you burning and you torturing and you getting tortured, they're gonna mock you. They're gonna love it. So I'm just saying, hey, okay. Now this part is getting to the end. This is the Judas turns on Jesus. Okay, the story of the betrayal of Judas. And this is kind of going to be different of what the Bible is speaking on. You know what I'm saying? And this is what a lot of people speak on about the Barnabas of Jesus not actually ever being put on the cross. Because if you understand God and you understand God is good, nobody's going to believe he's going to take his greatest servant, one of his holy ones, and put him on the cross. But we're going to get to this. All right, let's go to the next one. Um, Michael, yeah, I know you're talking about Lucas though, but this not Lucas Booker Barnabas, but I'll get to that after this. Okay, damn, these really small. I don't know if I can read this. This is really, really small. Let me see if I can read it. Whereupon Jesus rejoiced in the spirit, saying, bless the holy name, O Lord, because thou hast not separated me from the number of the servants that have been prosecuted by. You can make it a little bit smaller. You can make it a little bit smaller. I might can see it then. Okay, yeah, you can move it over. I should be able to read that. Okay. All right, I can try to read that. All right. Wherefore Jesus rejoiced in the spirit, saying, bless thy name, holy name, O Lord, because thou hast not separated me from the number of the servants that have been prosecuted by the world and slain. I thank thee, thy God, because I have fulfilled thy work. And turning to Judas, he said to him, friend, wherefore thou wherefore tellest thou, wherefore go and do that which thou must do. The disciples thought that Jesus was sending Judas to buy something for the day of the Passover, but Jesus knew that Judas was betraying him. Wherefore, desiring to depart from the world, from the work, so he, I can't read this. Hold on. I know that I could do it. Let me go to my phone presentation. I'm going to read it from there. Yeah, because I try to put too much in this one. Hold on. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. All right. Go down. Go down. Go down. Okay. Almost there. All right. Damn, this shit's small. This is crazy. I don't know if I can read that one. That one might be. Let's see. Dang. I still can't read that. I'm gonna try to read what I can. All right. Jesus answered, "That which I do knowest now, but thou shalt know hereafter. Thou shalt never wash my feet." Then Jesus said, "Go up and see, neither shalt that come in my company on the day of judgment." I'm gonna go to where I can. Judas then said, "Shall it be, O master?" Jesus answers, "Thou hast told me who it shall be to betray me." And the 11 apostles heard of it not. Where the lamb was eaten, the devil come upon the back of Judas, and he went forth from the house. Jesus saying to him again, "Do quickly that which thou must do." Okay, so that's Judas. That's Jesus telling Judas to go do what you're going to do. He already knew. The disciples really didn't know what he was saying, but Jesus already knew that he was going to be the betrayer. He was the one that was going to sell him out. Okay, we can go to the next one. Okay, soldiers coming for Jesus, right? All right. Having gone forth from the house, Jesus retired in the garden to pray. According to his customs was to pray, bowing his knees 100 times and prostrating himself upon his face. Judas, according knowing the place where Jesus was with the disciples, went to the high priest and said, "If ye will give me what was promised that night, I will give you your hand, Jesus, whom ye seek, for he is alone with 11 companions." The high priest answered, "How much seekest thou?" Judas said, Judas, 30 pieces of gold. Then stairway the high priest counted unto him the money and sent a Pharisees to the governor to fetch soldiers and to Herod. And they gave a legion of them because they feared the people. Wherefore they took their arms and with torches and lanterns upon staves went out of Jerusalem. So this is Judas selling them out, and he was going to they going to get Jesus to pick him up. But this is the crazy thing that happened. All right, watch this. Angels helped Jesus escape. When the soldiers of Judas drew near the place where Jesus was, Jesus heard the approach of many people. Wherefore, in fear, he withdrew into the house, and 11 were sleeping. The God, seeing the danger of his servants, commanded Gabriel, Michael, Raphael, Uriel, his ministers, to take Jesus out the world. The holy angels came, took Jesus out the window that looked up toward the south. They bare him in the place, him in the third heaven, in the company of angels, blessing God for evermore. So this is saying that he was saved. Actually the soldiers didn't come get him. Okay, and this is what happened next. Okay, now this is the part that people talk about of Barnabas that's saying that it actually was Judas on the cross. This is what they mean when they say this. It's the one before that. It's Judas turns to Jesus part. Right before that one. I think it's before this one. Okay. Judas entered before all into the chamber when Jesus had been taken up, and the disciples were sleeping. Whereupon the wonderful God acted wonderfully, insomuch that Judas was so changed in speech and in face to be like Jesus, that we believed him to be Jesus. And he having awakened us, was seeking where the master was. Whereupon we marveled and answered, "Thou, Lord, art our master, how thou now forgotten us?" And he smiling said, "Now are thee foolish, that know not me, Judas." And as he was saying this to the soldiery entered and laid their hands upon Judas, because he was in every way like Jesus. We haven't heard Judas saying and seen the multitude of soldiers fled as beside ourselves. And John, who was wrapped in the linen cloth, awoke and fled. And when a soldier seized him by the linen cloth, he left the linen cloth and fled naked. For God heard the prayer of Jesus and saved the 11 from evil. So in this part, it's telling you that they made the vision of Judas look so much like Jesus that the soldiers actually took Judas. Judas trying to explain he is not Jesus. The soldiers took Judas and bound him, not without diversion, for the truly denied he was Jesus. And the soldiers mocking him said, Sir, fear not, for we are come to make thee king of Israel. And we have bound thee because we know that thou dost refuse the kingdom. Judas answered, Now have ye lost your senses? Ye are come to take Jesus of Nazareth for alms and lanterns, and against a robber. Ye have bound me that have gathered you to make me king. Then the soldiers lost their patience, and with blows and kicks they began to flout Judas, and they led him to fury into Jerusalem. John and Peter followed the soldiers afar off, and they affirmed to him who writeth that they saw all the examination that was made of Judas by the high priest and by the council of the Pharisees, who were assembled to put Jesus to death. Whereupon Judas spake the many words of madness, insomuch that everyone was filled with laughter, believing that he was really Jesus, and that for the fear of death he was foreign madness. Whereupon the scribes bound his eyes with a bondage, and mocking him said, Jesus, prophet of the Nazarenes. For they called them who believed in Jesus, Tell us, who was it that smote thee? And they buffeted him and spat in his face. So now this is Jesus, this is Judas now, being betrayed as Jesus. And they mocking him, they beating him, they doing the things to him because they think this is really him. Okay. This is Jesus, this is Judas' death. And this herald wrote, because the chief priests and the scribes and the Pharisees had given him a good quantity of money, the governor, having heard that this was from a servant of Herod, in order that he also might gain some money, foreign that he desired to set Judas at liberty. Whereupon he caused him to be scourged by his slaves, who were paid by the scribes to slay him under the scourges. But God, who had decreed the issue, reserved Judas for the cross, in order that he might suffer the horrible death in which he lied and sold another. He did not suffer Judas to die under the scourges, notwithstanding that the soldiers scourged him so grievously that his body rained blood. Thereupon, in mockery, they clawed him into old purple garments, saying, It is fitting to our new king to cloth him and crown him. So they gathered thorns and made a crown, like those gold or precious stones which kings wear on their heads. And this crown of thorns they placed upon Judas' head, putting it in his hand to read and specter. And they made him sit in the high place. And the soldiers came before him, bowing down, mocking, saluting him as King of Jews. And they held out their hands to receive gifts, such as new kings are accustomed to give. And receiving nothing, they smote Judas, saying, Now, how art thou crowned, foolish king, if thou wilt not pay the soldiers and servants? The chief priests with the scribes and Pharisees, seeing that Judas died not by the scourges, and fearing lest Pilate should set him at liberty, made a gift of money to the governor, who having received it gave Judas to the scribes and Pharisees as guilty until death. Whereupon they condemned two robbers with him to death on the cross. So they led him to the Mount Calvary, where they used to hang malefactors, and they were crucified him naked for the greater ignominy. Judas truly did not else but cry out, God, why hast thou forsaken me, saying the malefactor have escaped, and I die unjustly. Okay, and this is a problem that I guess you would say Old Testament used to ask Christians. If he knew he was going to be sacrificed, why would he say, why have thou forsaken me? Was actually mean, why have thou abandoned me? if you understand that you're supposed to have been sacrificed. Okay, now that's just another story, and I'm just trying to put that in to why they saying that was Judas that said that. This is why this book is saying this. Okay, Jesus goes to Mary and disciples to show he is not dead. The virgin returned to Jerusalem with him who writeth, and James and John, on the day of which the decree of high priest went forth. Whereupon the virgin who feared God, albeit she knew the decree of the high priest to be unjust, commanded those who dwelt with her to forget her son. Then how each one was affected. God, who discerneth the heart of men, knoweth that between grief at the death of Judas, whom we believe to be Jesus our master, and desire to see him risen again, we were for mother of Jesus were consumed. So the angels that were guardians of Mary ascended to the third heaven, where Jesus was in company of angels, and recounted all to him. Wherefore Jesus prayed God that he would give him prayer to see his mother and his disciples. Then the merciful God commanded his four favorite angels, who were Gabriel, Michael, Raphael, and Uriel, to bear Jesus into the mother's house, and there kept watch over him for 3 days continually, suffering him only to be seen by them who believed in the doctrine. Jesus came surrounded with splendor to the room where abide Mary and the Virgin with the two sisters, Martha and Mary, Magdalene and Lazarus, and him who writeth John and James and Peter. Whereupon through fear they fell as dead, and Jesus lifted up his mother and the others from the ground, saying, Fear not, for I am Jesus, and weep, for I am alive and not dead. They remained everyone for a long time beside himself at the presence of Jesus, for they all together believed that Jesus was dead. Then the virgin weeping said, Tell me, my son, wherefore God, having given thee power to raise the dead, suffered thee to die, to the shame of thy kinfolk and friends, and to the shame of thy doctrine, for everyone that loveth thee shall have been as dead. So even she asking him, how did he give you this power to raise the dead, to do these things, to sacrifice, but end up killing, wanting you to die on this cross? And you know what I'm saying? This is what he's going to explain. That, and this way he explained that he never died. Okay. Now, Jesus, this is a punishment. Now I ain't gonna say it's not a punishment to Jesus. It's more of a consequence that happened for people saying that Jesus is God. In this book is saying that they're gonna mock Jesus through Judas the whole time, thinking that was Jesus on the cross. So when people are laughing and saying, "Oh, Jesus on the cross couldn't take care of himself," this and this and that, they're saying that was actually Judas. This is what this book's saying. Okay. Then the fourth angel narrated the virgin how God had sent for Jesus and had transformed Judas that he might suffer the punishment to which he had sold another. Then said, Who writeth, O Master, it is lawful for me to question thee now, and it is lawful for me when it dwellest with us. Jesus answered, Ask thou pleasant Barnabas, and I will answer thee. Then said he who written, O Master, seeing that God is merciful, whereof have he so tormented us, making us to believe that thou wert dead, and thy mother have so wept for thee, that she have been night and day, and thou art an holy one of God. On thee have God suffered to fall the calamity, that thou wert slain amongst robbers and the Mount Calvary. So they asked him again, You're the Holy One. Why would God make you think that you died and put you on the cross and mark you with other robbers that were sinners? And this is what he's telling them. Believe me, Barnabas, that every sin, however small it be, God punished with great punishment, saying that God is offended at sin. Wherefore, since my mother and my faithful disciples that were with me loved me a little with earthly love, the righteous God have willed to punish this love with present grief, in order that it may not be punished in the flames of hell. And though I have been innocent in the world, since men have called me God and Son of God, God, in order that I be not mocked of the demons of the day of judgment, have willed that I be mocked of men in this world by the death of Judas, making all men to believe that I died upon the cross. So he's telling them that by the people, not him, by the people saying he's the son of God, meaning he's equal to God, he's the savior, that by him not being punished for what the people are doing and having to deal with hell, he's just going to be mocked through Judas and not himself for being on the cross. But people are going to think they mocking him. Okay. So Jesus ascended to heaven. Jesus answered, here are John and Peter who have seen all, and they will tell you all that has passed. And then Jesus commanded us to call his faithful disciples that they might see him. Then did James and John call together the 7 disciples with Nicodemus and Joseph and many other 72, and they ate with Jesus. The third, Jesus said, go to Mount Olives with my mother, for there will I ascend into heaven, and you will see who shall bear me up. So there went all, saying, this is new to me. Okay. So there went all, saving 25 and 72 disciples who for fear had fled to Damascus. And as they all stood in the prayer in the midday, came Jesus with a great multitude, angels who were praising God, and the splendor of his face made them so afraid that they fell upon their faces to the ground. But Jesus lifted them up, comforted them, and saying, be not afraid, I am your master. And he reproved many who believe him and have died risen again, saying, do not ye hold me and God for liars, for God have granted to me to live amongst until the end of the world, even as I said unto you, verily I say unto you, I died not, but Judas the traitor. Beware, for Satan will make every effort to deceive you, but ye my witness in all Israel and throughout the world of all things thee have heard and seen. And having thus spoken, he prayed God for the salvation of faithful and conversation of sins, and his prayer ended. He embraced his mother, saying, peace be upon thee, my mother, rest thou in God who created thee and me. And having thus spoken, he turned his disciples, saying, may God's grace and mercy be with you. Then before their eyes, the 4 angels carried him up into heaven. I don't know if there's one after. It might be one more after this. I don't know. This might be the end, or okay, it is one more. And this is the last, and this is the warning that he has told people about the false teaching of the third day. Again, this is in this book. Okay, so I'm reading the book. Oh shit. All right, after Jesus had departed, the disciples scattered through the different parts of Israel of the world, and the truth hated of Satan was prosecuted as it always is by falsehood. For certain evil men pretending to be disciples preached that Jesus died and rose not again. Others preached that he really died but rose again. Others preach that Jesus is the Son of God, among who is Paul deceived. But we, as much as I have written, that preach we of those who fear God, that they may be saved in the last days of God's judgment. Amen. And so he's saying to this day and to the end, it's going to be these teachings. People are going to argue, is he God? Is he God's son? Is he the prophet? Did he die on the third day? Did he die for real? Was he on the cross? All these things are going to be arguing to the end, until the day that God come in judgment. Okay. Muslim War Machine, introduce yourself and tell the people they can find you at. You got something to say, Muslim War Machine? Okay. Let me see if I can read some comments before we go, or if anybody jump on. Let me see. See if anybody got something to say. Let me see. Right out the joint to the front of the classroom, teaching has to stop. I don't know what that means. I don't even. Why are you wasting time in not building your main African city? Oh, he's talking to Lex. Okay, that's them talking. Um, hold on, let me see if everybody. Thou said, Yah in the law of prophets is what you read in the actual words that proceed directly out of the very mouth of the Creator Yah. So what we really doing? I don't know, Jay. I don't know. I don't know. Y'all got to do better typing than y'all doing. But I guess what you're saying. Listen, the Bible is this part of the book is saying the Barnabas is saying that God put His word in him, and what he was speaking was not of his. And this is why I try to tell people in the Bible that God says. Even God says in the Bible, the words that I speak are not mine, but they are God's. When people call him good, he says, serve God. When people say, I say you the son of God, he said, ain't then don't scripture say you're the son of God too? See, this is the thing people not understanding. They try to branch him off and say, oh, he's the only begotten son, like God have a sperm and impregnate a woman. But I'm not that's not my debate on that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not debating, I don't because I'm not that type of person who's trying to go back and forth with people on what they believe. You know what I'm saying? I'm just trying to get an understanding of what these things are. So that's why, just like I heard somebody say, never heard of this. Glad to see brother bringing out the other answer. Yeah, that's why I'm bringing them out because people talk about them and people throw books away, man, and don't even read them. And that's the problem I have. Let's get to the books. Let's break them down just like you do the Bible, just like we do Genesis, just like we do all that. Let's go word for word. Let's break it down. Let's go to the translation. Let's see is what this saying is real or not. Let's see if it's worth keeping. Let's see if it's worth getting rid of. Let's see if it's amongst our people. That's what we have to do. This going back and forth for what each other believe is not going to do nothing but keep us divided. It's going to be people that don't believe he's God. Going to be people that does. It's all back and forth. But these are the things that we really got to start debating offline, and we got to start getting together to do it. I tell people what. Let's get 5 New Testament people and 5 Old Testament. Let's go some simple shit. Let's get us together, put some money up. It could be $10 a piece, $5 a piece. Let's get some water and send it to Flint. I want to see if we can do that without having the same belief. Let's see if we actually say, okay, we each other are brothers. You're my brother, I'm your brother. It doesn't matter. We say that all the time, but I don't see it. And that's what I want to see. So 5 New Testaments, 5 Old Testaments. Let's put $10 together. Let's get some water. Let's send to a family in Flint and see if we can do that. All right, this is my challenge. This is my challenge to say that you ready to unite in brotherhood. I don't care what nobody say. I don't care what no book say. You keep coming to me telling me a book said we ain't gonna unite. No, we ain't gonna unite because you don't want to unite. And that's the problem. Okay. All right. Jesus lied in Luke 24:46. How is he the voice of Yah when he was lying at the same time explaining that make the sense? Now, this is the part that I said. I told you I question New Testament and I question the Old Testament. That's why I don't like when people call me Old Testament. I question all books. I question history. I question science. I'm going to question everything because I have a mind that God gave me. I do not believe everything is 100%, especially when it's been in the hand of these people. These people are deceiving. These people will make you believe anything. You see what I'm saying? We had to be careful with that. You just seen what Commission broke down the other day. Everybody, the whole world thought that damn Egypt hieroglyphs was the original, and he showed you his not. You see what I'm saying? This stuff like that. We thought Cleopatra was a damn African the whole time, and I found out she's a Greek. We gotta understand these things. They haven't even found her tomb. They haven't found Alexander the Great tomb. They haven't found Genghis Khan tomb. They're starting to say Genghis Khan was a myth. This is all I'm trying to say. They control everything. You should bring out Jasper, my brother. You know what? I'm gonna go on Jasper just for you next time, and we can go into that. Lex. I mean, Vortex. I guess Vortex. You cool with me, man? I ain't got no problem with you. You know what I'm saying? You question things like I do. Some of your things might seem kind of Masonic, but that's your choice. But All right, that's right. Let me see if I got any more. Okay, okay. All right. Well, ain't no more questions for this book. Anybody want to jump on before we leave here? Um, it's just I was trying to I'm trying to break down. Like I said, we're trying to get into these books because we really supposed to be the people of God, man. We got to get into all these books. We got to understand which is what and what is what, and we got to get it out. We got to get into the Kabbalah. We got to get into the Talmud, and we got to explain why these things are not of God. We can't just say it now. We got to explain it because when you just say it and people go and read it and they go and interpret it on their own and their own self, they can accept it, which is no problem. But what I'm saying, if you're trying to say, oh, that this is bad, this is bad, this is bad, this is bad, let's go into it and see what's bad about it. Let's go into it and see what is against God in it. Because they'll tell you this book of Barnabas is bad, but just because they don't agree with certain things they say, they'll tell you Adam and Eve because of certain things. They say this person wrote it, this and this and that. So all I'm saying is we got to understand that it's time for us to start researching. We are the teachers. We got to start bringing it out. We can't just start claiming stuff and never show the information. We got to stop acting like we some type of people that just got some information out of nowhere when y'all know y'all didn't. Okay. Um, can I send you a video to play out while we leaving out um Kareem?
Yep.
Okay. Again, I'm gonna show you again. This is my brother. I love my brother, man. We talk all the time. He's a minister. We just was talking about the books. I just was explaining to him, and he was like, a lot of that stuff makes sense. And I told him, man, we have a brain. And I love that post you put up on Facebook, Kareem. Man, when the dude was like, if everybody think, well, you said Malcolm X said it, right? If everybody, I think you said Malcolm X said it. No, it was somebody else who said it. They said, if everybody thinks the same, nobody's thinking. Man, that was like one of the best quotes I ever seen. Who actually said that? Okay, this video right here is my brother. Like I said, this is like a 10-minute video. We can go leave out on this. It's called The Con of America. Okay. So y'all enjoy, what I'm saying, enjoy the video. Y'all come back and read it, and we gonna get back to these other books. Jazz, I'm gonna start researching on that book for you, Mario. We from VA, baby, Richmond, representing. You can play the video anytime. I just said to your messenger. Yeah, but it's called The Con of America. Um, just a little breakdown, a little 10-minute breakdown while we leaving out. Any other books y'all wanted me to read, put them in the last end comments, or you could just DM me. You know what I'm saying? Eric Mad Scientist, True Knowledge.
We talking about that post, my bad. You talking about that post, Carter,
Yeah,
Carter Wood, son?
yeah. It said yeah, that's what it was. Kind of, if everybody thinks the same, nobody is thinking. Man, y'all gotta understand that's a deep saying right there. Muslim war machine. You got something to say?
I am here.
Mm-hmm.
Blessings to you.
Blessing you, brother. Y'all, you don't know exorcism on that. You sound like a demon. Okay, I guess he left. But yeah, I sent the video to you that we can go out on.
to know that.
Okay.
Hey, Lex. You don't even spell my name right.
Yeah, you spelled Karima. Karima. Yeah, I don't know about y'all. I don't know what's up. Yeah, he said like he had like some minimals up. I was about to start reading some scripture, get him out of here. Yeah, you know RVA, man, DLV. We gotta meet up, man. If you still in Richmond, man, we gotta meet up at Bill, Mario. Cause you know I'm right. I'll be in Richmond, Henrico, Glen Island area. So you know, I mean, I'll be all around that area. This is called the Con America. Peace out, enjoy.
Yeah, I'm a minister and a human rights activist. You can find me on Facebook and on YouTube. On Facebook, you can find me on the Native Temple of Truth, and the Voice of Reason is one of my pages where we deal with subjects, dealing with certain subjects and breaking it down. Today, we're going to deal with the conspiracy of America. I want to break down how America is a conspiracy and they're putting it right in your face. All right, I had to bring a board in because I wanted to show y'all. So America is a conspiracy and it's a con. Why is America a con? Because America is not the true sovereigns of this nation. But they want to convince you, the word con is there again, convince you that they are. What happened with the Civil War between the North and the South? The South said we want to be a confederacy, but the United States said that is not a con. Us together is not a con. We want to call ourselves a union. So that's what started that war. Well, how does this con happen? What paper do they use to perpetuate this con? It's called the Constitution. All right? Who helps propel this document? Who helps the progress of this document? It's called Congress. If you deal with Canada, they don't call their officers police. They call their officers constables, which lets you know that their con is stable. If you go to court and you don't want to sit there and let them just constantly violate your rights and want them to treat you like a man, and you decide to speak up, they hold you in contempt. If somebody decides to build on our land, which they don't have the right to build on our land, they call it construction. And they want you to believe that they are a country. And if you speak against them, they say you are controversial. Now, if you do business with these shady people who are not real, they get you to sign a contract. And at the end of the day, they will send people to you that make you feel like that they're helping you and they're teaching you the truth, and we call them the conscious community.
I heard that.
If you go to court and you let them make you feel guilty, they say you have been convicted.
Because you convicted.
Exactly. So that proves that America, the United States of America, is not the true government. They are a con. And if you want to split down and read between the line, you don't call the president the commander-in-chief, you call him the commander-in-chief.
That's fact too.
You don't call a computer, it's actually a computer because it's computing the data of the con.
And we got there ain't nothing but a number in them damn system.
Exactly.
So why do you think and so just tell people to break down what you mean by this and how's they using that to control us?
Because they made a contract with the devil, and they told the devil, we're gonna do these people wrong, but we're gonna put it in plain sight that they will see it. And they figure if they put it in plain sight for you to see all of this, then you're in agreement with it.
So you're speaking, so I want to know what you said on the conscious community. What part do they have in the agenda of the conspiracy of America?
They have the part that they're keeping the con going, but they're doing it in a way to make it seem like they're teaching you the truth. Because we know it shouldn't be a conscious community. It should be a revolution community, right?
Yeah.
A resurrection community, a republic community. Next time I'm going to break down the re's. You know, I'm going to break down all these rewords because it's right there in our face. We have to understand the language that we speak right now is basically Druid language, which is spells. That's why when you spell out words, they say you're spelling. You see, we're actually cursing ourselves with our own words. And like I said, they put it right in front of us, and we're not realizing because we're too busy trying to work and survive.
Yeah.
English is not even a language, for real.
Exactly.
Yeah, these English is a magical spell words that can control your mind. Just like I told people music. You know what I mean? That's why all these things go together and they don't understand. That's why I said we're in the matrix. Am I talking about the damn movie where you could have a shit connected to us? We in a computer? No. We're under a system that controls the media, that controls the music, that controls the knowledge, that tells us who our leaders is, that tell us what's right and wrong, and we follow every single code of that. You see what I'm saying? None of these people, like I speak on abortion, none of these people have spoken on the none of these people have spoke on abortions until this shit has been put out as a trend.
It's amazing that they want to speak on abortions and they don't want to have abortions at the same time when your country don't even have baby formula.
Yeah.
So they want you to have babies, but they don't want you to feed the baby.
Yeah.
See, these people have made a pact.
Yeah. See, and this why I'm trying to get people to understand. When we talking against, but we're not talking against, we're not speaking for the government, well, at least not me. I'm not speaking for the government. I'm speaking on the behalf of lives. Because what if your mama would have aborted you? You wouldn't be here.
Amen.
You see what I'm saying? So we understand what the government is doing. So don't think that I'm defending the government. Talking to y'all people, don't think I'm defending the government when I say this. This comes from my studying and understanding what the government has done. The government do not want us to multiply. That is a foolish thing to believe that they taking abortion away so to hurt us even more. No, they're not taking abortion. That's why they're going to overturn this shit. This abortion shit ain't gonna stay long. We know this. You see what I'm saying? That's what I try to tell people. Virginia's still doing it. DC is still doing it. It's states that's going against it right now. So it's not going to stop. But what I'm trying to tell people, we got to stop being under this matrix that where they control everything and every aspect of what we care about. Because half these people that's talking about it never cared. That speaker's been speaking on with the boys in 2011, 2012. I haven't even heard none of these people speak on that shit. So, and that's why I'm trying to tell people the conspiracy of America is to control us. Now we pushing science over top of religion. Now we're trying to make we're there trying to destroy religion, destroy the belief in God, and tell you to believe into these people that have been lying to you your whole life.
Exactly.
I tell people, you remember when we used to be in school, they used to tell us Benjamin Franklin had a fucking what he had a bulb and put a kite in the sky and electric hit it, motherfucker. And we believe that shit because they call themselves scientists, because they gave us a bullshit ass history, call themselves historians. They put themselves under. That's why I put up scientific racism and how they using white nationalism and other people, because it ain't just white people, but they using bias and racial and prejudice things against us to create science and under a name. So they're calling themselves biologists, eugenics, and this and this and this and that. But if you go to the history of these people, they have racist history. Exactly. And now we're teaching the racist history to our children.
Exactly. Just like the critical race theory has been taken out of the school.
Yeah.
True chemistry has been taken out of the school.
Yeah.
All of these things.
Nobody even speaking on mathematics. Like none of that. Like these are the real science, mathematics, knowledge. The other thing you said, CTR, history, real history, not just fake history. You see what I'm saying? We got to get out that shit.
But the biggest con is that we have allowed the United States to present themselves as if they are the true sovereigns of this nation.
Yeah.
They are not.
They're not.
They are not.
Yeah. They're not.
No. So we need to take that all the way to the United Nations.
Yeah.
See, because they recognizing them.
Yeah.
And they need to be recognizing us.
Yeah, but see, and the problem is, I'm telling a lot of people, we have to fix our mentals first. We are so confused and destructive and so distracted by other things that has nothing to do with us being better people in a better community and us becoming a nation. Most of the stuff they're teaching. That's why I respect the Mighty Hebrew and all them Israelites at Demona. Respect to them, because they actually at least went somewhere, got their own land, putting their own laws over top of each other and trying to create their own nation. At least they trying. God damn it, you know what I'm saying? So this is what the things we need to do.
Exactly. So next time I'm gonna break down the reads and break down a little bit more stuff because it's time for our people to take our place. God is letting me know to tell our people that this is our season, this is our time. Satan's kingdom is falling. All the secrets that he thought he was going to keep from us are now being revealed, and God's people are going to take their place very soon.
And tell the people about the con thing one more time. Break it down for one more time.
Break everything?
Yeah, go from the top again.
All right, so America's a con because they're not the true sovereigns. All right.
Mm-hmm.
What paper do they use for this con? It's called the Constitution.
Woo!
How do they progress the con? They use Congress. Okay, if you don't want to go to court and just let them talk about you like you're not even in the courtroom, and you decide to speak up, they hold you in contempt because you're tempting the con. If a company builds houses on our land, which they don't have the right to do, they even call it construction. You see? And they want you to believe that they are a country when we know they're not a real country. And if you speak against them, they say that you are controversial. And if you do business with them, you sign a contract.
Okay.
And when they lock you, when you go to court, they lock you up for what you is.
A convict.
Exactly.
So get up, wake up, stand up. Peace. Yeah, and before we go, God, man, that's what I'm trying to get people to understand. As long as we keep talking about we cursing, we're not trying to get out the curse, we're gonna stay cursed. You know what I'm saying? And that's what people gotta realize. We are taking the books and we are taking it and putting it over top of us to where we are going by what the book completely say and not what we can do. If I say we can unite and let's get together and let's fix some parts of the community, let's put up and fix some Flint, you don't come to me and tell me the Bible said we ain't gonna unite. You see what I'm saying? This is the problem that we have. Let's try. The Bible ain't say we can't get together and get some water for Flint. What are y'all talking about? The Bible ain't say we can't get together and feed the homeless. The Bible ain't say we can't get together and put up money and get started schools and teach. The Bible don't tell you that. Of course, there gonna be people that's gonna be against what we teach. That don't mean you don't try. We can't keep leaving our people blind and waiting and sitting here and waiting for somebody to come and save us when we supposed to be saving ourselves. Not talking about money. I'm not just talking about getting business and buildings and stuff like that. I'm talking about waking our people up, man, to God. People are leaving God, man. People are calling themselves God. People are calling women God. People are even calling money God. After they killed Fred Hampton, the FBI said we will give them profits to take away. Yes. And that's why people get mad. I'm one of the people who exposed amazing. I don't expose all the way from to Bilal, who did stuff, to Marcus Garvey, all the way to people like Huey P. Newton, to Khalid Muhammad. But see, we look at these people as half, they down there worship half these people. But if I say, these people was in frets, how can they be black supremacists and black leaders and they was in frets? They was in Greek ladders. They was Masonics. They was keeping secrets from us. How? I'm talking about the people I call their scholars. I'm talking about the black leaders. I'm talking about all of them. The only ones that I seen, like Commission helped me with, is nobody J. Lee. He was one of the people that fought him. Malcolm X was one of them people. He was part of them, but he tried to get rid of them. I ain't saying he was a part of Mason, but he was a part of the nation, which are Masons. We know this. So, but it goes deeper, man. It goes super deep. And Fred Hampton, the way they killed him, that he was one of our people. He was for our people. You know what I'm saying? And that's what Hoover said. The only Messiahs I will ever have is going to be the ones we create. All right? Peace out.